¿Qué ondas, primos?
Primas.
Y Primxs.
Welcome to my
Primos.
Primos.
My
Primo.
podcast.
My name is Freddie.
My name is Kevin Garcia.
My name is Elia Maria Madrid.
Well, this is Chikume, whenever I can make it.
My Primos podcast discusses all things fandom and pop culture,
From comic books,
Movies?
To whatever obsession we have this week.
but with a latine
latine.
perspective. Remember, we're all primos,
We're all Primxs.
We're all primos.
no matter what part of the world we're from.
Destined for greatness, we can't escape the feeling. I'm losing grip of who I am and what it is I'm meant to be. The crowd is calling, my heart is pounding, throwing dirt on my grave while I'm planning my escape. I have no money and no car to get away. I'm getting older by the day. Time's slipping away, still I wait, still I'm waiting for this place to make a change. But nothing will change, nothing will change now. Too much to prove and nothing to lose. I'm not giving up on hope. I refuse to live a life not worthy of the fight put up to bring me to this world. Too much to prove and nothing to lose. No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of tomorrow, 'cause the future belongs to me.
I feel more comfortable with Latino, but Latino de donde viene esa madre, Latin, and
Yeah, so they're all colonization terms. It's
Yeah.
like
just call me a fucking piece of shit, and I'd rather at least you're referring to me.
Yeah.
Because you're both
Yeah,
brown. I get
you're saying
it.
what you wanted to go by, but didn't match because it's you're not Canadian. When I was a teenager, I was like, you know what, I like mestizo. I'm like, I know that it has a horrible cultural history, but at the same time, I'm literally half Mexican and half European. So I'm like that describes me. So I'm like, you know
You
what?
just like mestizo because it sounds like you're magical. That's the only reason you like it.
Honestly, it does. But see, the thing is, the term is so loaded, and that happens to all these terms over time.
It's like gentrification. It literally means good, right? It means to make better, but it's
the whole point of mestizo was that you're like, well, you're here in the totem pole, but you're not here, but you're not here, but you're not
right.
here. So the whole point was about defining people by basically blood quantum.
Yeah,
it's like a carrot. Here you go. Just you're not this guy.
You know how much white people like that, man. They like to pay for everything. They love paperwork.
¿Qué ondas, primos, primas, and primes? And welcome to my Primos podcast. My name is Freddie. With me tonight, we have a full house. And believe it or not, the man, the myth, the legend, the man lost in the wilds, Mr. Chikume is on the show for the first time in a long time. Chikume, what's up?
Yeah, man. It's been so long. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just here because
83 years.
Apparently my head is somewhere in this little logo right here. So I'm just making an appearance. I'm just happy to get invited. I'm happy to still get invites here and there.
Hey man, that's when you're a producer. You still get a lot of cred. Get on here. But we're back. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Of course, with me is Mr. Kevin Garcia.com. Say what's up, Kevin.
What's up, Kevin?
Always filling that hole, Mr. Kevin Garcia.
Okay.
What? It's not just. Why do you stop me?
Somebody has to fill the hole, and I just happen to be good at it.
Wow.
Just what? I'm not gonna give you donuts.
Oh well, you haven't seen him. You haven't seen him handle donuts, and of course, that laughter we hear of joy. And sprinkle and spice, Miss Elia Maria Madrid. We have at Spice Illustration. Say what's up, Elia.
What's up, Elia?
There you are, Elia. Welcome. It works. You did it. But tonight we are excited to have on the show. We've been chatting online, friendly right here and there. But we're talking with Gabe. And Gabe is with the band 1876, an indigenous punk rock band out of Oregon. And I am super pumped to get you on the show, man, because I've been dying to have an episode talking about music. I love punk. I got a chip on my shoulder because I'm always talking about music and everybody ignores me. But finally, the Primos heard me out and they're like, oh shit, this fucking music's dope. And I'm like, yeah, let's have them on. So here we are. Welcome. Introduce yourself to all the Primos out there.
What's going on? Mi nombre es Mr. Steal Your Girl Some Horses. I'm from the Northern Cheyenne and Blackfeet tribe. I'm the singer. and guitar player. Oh, don't look at my weights. Those are that's for rehab. Don't worry. I can
that's where
I can live more than that.
Boy without him.
But yeah, I sing and play guitar in 1876.
Okay, thanks for coming on, man. I'm excited to have you on.
You know, it's funny because Freddie mentioned that he'd been talking to this band, and he says, "Yeah, you know, it's really good." He sent me a link, and I'm like, "I'll look at it later." And I open it up, I'm like, "Wait a minute, I know this band," because I'm not big on music, right? But when I find music I like, I add it to my playlist. I have a small playlist. It's got 114 hours of music, and I'm also on TikTok a lot, and a lot of my mutuals are on indigenous talk, and I heard your music through that. You know, and I dug it, so I added it to my playlist. The playlist I play at school for my high school students. So like,
oh, nice,
yeah,
that's the way to do it. Man. Get them young, hook them young.
I just heard your music like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I need to add this to the playlist, so I added it up. So right before Freddie had mentioned it.
That's badass.
No,
Are you in Texas?
Yeah, I'm in Texas.
See, I appreciate that, man, because they're trying to get rid of everything down there.
Yeah.
So just for frame of context, I'm currently in Austin, which is the blue dot of Texas. But I used to be in South Texas, the lower Rio Grande Valley, which is kind of like the blue strip of Texas. So we had the little bits where we're trying to like stop them from banning books, but like we get shouted out.
Yeah, I mean, this is how we're gonna have to tell our history. It's how my people have done it for thousands of years, but I guess now we got to start doing it again. It's through music, because man, these people want to first they made us learn how to read in their language and write in their language, and now they want to take it away from us so that we can't retell our history. It's a good thing we haven't forgotten how to tell our history.
No, for sure, man. I loved about your music, and especially your videos, man. They're just so like expressive. They jump out you, and I love them. We're going to talk about some of them here in a little bit, but just tell us how you just decided one day, like, you know what, fuck it, like I need to start. My thoughts used to come off out of the dome to the page and just into the world. Like, what got you there to just start playing the music out loud and getting a band together?
It started almost 10 years ago. That's not how long the band's been here, but the journey started about 10 years ago. I was at Standing Rock and just out there protesting with those dudes and helping out wherever I can help out, and seeing all that unity and feeling that energy. Because that area, like I said, I'm Cheyenne, so that area is not ours, but we spend time there sometimes. So it speaks to me, like my blood remembers that area. So being there and seeing all that, and just the frustration of being an Indian in America, and like that whole thing happening was just another reminder of like how this country really views us, how America really views us. And not to mention just my whole life of being an Indian. And like at the time I was working in a hospital, and I would get all these really ignorant questions from doctors and nurses because they have a medical brain. So their brain isn't like, it's different. Like they just ask you like straight up questions, and you're like, whoa, that was borderline racist, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And that's kind of my experience as an Indian in general. Like most people, like the amount of racism that we deal with is crazy. Like, so, and it's overlooked. We're spoken over. When we march, we're not on TV. When we are trying to fight something, we don't get the support. We've supported everybody else. We've been at every march. We've been there with everybody else, but it's pretty rare that people come and help us. So all those things like coming together kind of started it. I went to a really important place to my tribe, and that's, I think, where all of this started. It was on my way to Standing Rock. It's like one of the most sacred spots that my tribe holds, and I didn't even know it was there. I'd never seen it before, and I was passing it, and I was like, how I know this place. So I stopped, and I think that's when everything just like flipped for me. And then I went to Standing Rock. I came home. I got beat up by some cops, had a gun pulled on me, and that like elevated my frustration. And then the long journey starts there. And I had laptop after laptop after laptop trying to get this music out, and it would always crash, always crash, always crash. And then eventually, like around 2018, 2019, my wife gave me this computer, and she was like, hey, I think you can do it with this.
It's all about support.
Yeah. So I did it. Well, I think it was 2019, and then 2020 it came out, and I really needed it then because I work on an ambulance. And
oh shit! Cool.
Yes, so I was just watching people drown like day after day after day, and getting rednecks yelling at me, and all kinds of different political people yelling at me, telling me this is fake, this is like all that stuff, and more frustration, like more denial of what I'm actually witnessing and what I'm putting myself and my family through. And having people tell me like, nah, that's not real, you know?
Yeah.
So
there's rednecks in Portland.
Oh man,
there's rednecks in Portlandia.
It's not Portlandia, homie. It's all that's not what it's like.
They're right outside. The
Yeah.
minute you leave, it like here in Portland, the minute you leave city limits, there's rednecks. There's Trump flags. There's I don't want to get like political. It doesn't matter what side you're on to me.
No, I've been through it there a few times. That's exactly what it is.
Isn't like there's like a movement? There's a movement that they want to turn Washington into Idaho or something.
Yeah, there's the separatist movement over there trying to get Idaho. Washington. It's because so much of the east side of Washington and Oregon are deep red, you know, and they want to do things. But hold on a second, Gabe. I wanted to say something for a second, though, because you were saying some stuff earlier. Freddie had mentioned that, you know, there's connections between the indigenous community and like the Latino community. And my thing, you know, as a teacher, I would often talk to my students. I used to teach in the Brownsville, where we had mostly Hispanic students, mostly Mexican students. And I would always show them other cultures and like where there's overlap. And it's funny hearing what you were talking about, where they're trying to take away the music and then bring the music back and then take it away again. That reminds me of kind of why I'm not bilingual. You know, my dad, his generation, they would get, you know, punished in school if they spoke Spanish. So my grandparents,
I still get that in school.
Well, my grandparents, they stopped speaking Spanish at home, and so my dad and his brothers, they speak bad Spanish, and then none of my cousins on my dad's side speak Spanish. My mom's side, blonde and blue-eyed, I have Spanish-speaking cousins, you know, because they were like congratulated for learning a new thing.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the issue with the doctors that just say stuff straight out, kind of racist. And it's like, I know people in the Black community that's constantly something they're dealing with every time they go to doctors. So you don't have to be from a community to understand what that community is going through. There's so many parallels with everybody's thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of the message of 1876. Like, we really believe in the unity of people. And especially those of us who are made from this earth, and we know who those people are. You know who they are. I know who they are, and they know who they are. So people who are made from this earth, we have to unite because it's our blood that's under attack. Not like you will not replace us like khakis.
Yeah. I just kind of singing.
I just mean like our land is attached to our blood, and our land is what's under attack. So where we come from, you guys, me, other people who are made, their stories talk about them being made from the land. We have to unite with each other, and we have to put our stuff aside. We have to be able to talk about some things and get past some things, because we have to unite. And we, as Indian people, I always say we have the home field advantage. Like, that's what 1876 is. It's a reminder of the Battle of Little Bighorn. And when the Northern Cheyenne, the Oglala, a bunch of Lakotas, Blackfeet, and Arapahoes came together, they were all tribes who didn't get along, but they all came together for one common goal. And that common goal was to defend their home and defeat the U.S. military. And they did it because they worked together. They had a common goal, and they supported each other, and they had the home field advantage. So that's true for you guys. That's true for me. We have to be able to, like, you know, unite.
No, I'm glad you bring that up, man. Because go ahead.
No, but in the efforts of combating that ignorance, because I will say this, like within the Latino community, we don't know much about y'all. I'll say that. Yeah. Like there's not a lot of overlap, even though, you know, me and Freddie always say like, hey, don't let them tell you you're not indigenous, you know, don't let them, it doesn't matter. The Americas, right, is one whole fucking continent. Mm-hmm. But in efforts of combating that ignorance, do you mind sharing what you were sharing with us earlier? Because I see you immediately refer to yourself as Indian, and it's like in my head, I'm like, wait, it's like an alarm goes off, and it's like, Like, weren't we like fighting? Wasn't the NFL getting in trouble because of the Redskins and Indians? You can also get chingado y toda esa
There are
madre,
some big differences, though. Yeah,
but you yourself, you're referring to yourself as Indian. So, you're explaining. So, if you don't mind, kind of educating us once more.
So I say Indian. Indian is kind of like a slang, and for me, it's NDN. And for me, Indian is short for indigenous, NDNGENOUS. There's no I in indigenous. If you're indigenous, there's no.
That just
you guys
blew my
know
mind.
that.
Okay, but wait. I want to pause real quick that you are using that, and that's key there.
Wow.
I think it gets really kind of weird when I see like white people doing that. They're like, "Yeah, I support the NDN community," and I'm like, "That's not really your phrase." Like, I get it; it's good, but not your phrase. I have a friend.
Blew my mind, man. I'm still soaking in it.
I have a friend of a friend who's one of those people that claims to be like from a Cherokee princess or something.
Of course.
And so she kept using these terms online. And then when she got in trouble for it, she goes to her friends of color and says, "Defend me." And they're like, "No, we're not doing it."
Yeah.
We tried. That's the thing. Like those kind of people will be like, "How come no one's speaking up for me?" And like, well, I told you in private, hey, you shouldn't, like, or you can tell by my face or whatever. Like, you say it, and yeah, exactly. Or you're just like you say it and you're dismissive of it. That's like our way. Like, it seems like something all people of color do. It's our way of telling you something without being like in your face. Like, we don't have to be like, hey, you shouldn't say that. It's like a face.
So when you say in it means indigenous. It's short for indigenous, not Indian. Like,
for me, that's what it is. And I know a lot of people, like a lot of my Canadian cousins, they don't like that I say Indian, because they're like they sometimes give me attitude about it. And like, I'll say Indian and they'll be like, "That's funny. You still call yourselves Indian." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Indian." But yeah, for me,
it's like people from other countries like Latino America, right? We get people always time saying, "Oh, I grew up in the U.S. I grew up in California," and then I'll get people like my cousin here or my mom. My mom will tell me I'm not Salvadoran enough to talk about being Salvadoran enough, and I'm like, you brought me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm passing, right? That's the whole thing, right? And like, so, and that's my cousin right there, my blood cousin, Chikume, and my sister has his complexion, but yet, here I am, and I always get there like, you don't look Salvi. Like,
you're as white as the underbelly of a shark. I always tell them that.
Yes, yeah. And it doesn't help that I'm bald too, so it just doesn't help. I mean, if I have to put sunglasses, I can be like Pitbull.
I can tell by your nose, though. I can tell by your nose where you're from. Yeah. Okay. One of my really good friends growing up in high school, he had my name. He's also named Gabe. He's El Salvadorian.
There you go, man. Great people, right?
Yeah, dude. Super. His mom was so sweet. Papusas. Oh my god.
Seriously.
But
I only recently got to have those, and they're so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fuck up, Kevin. Really? You live in Austin, you should come over to my mama's.
Dude, you have food. Invite me. I'll be there for food.
Out with the cats.
He was light skinned though. He was a light skinned dude, and like his brothers were darker. So I feel like there's just always one. I'm that one too.
Yeah. Well, I'm like the lightest.
Finish up the thought. Like, so you were going to Indian, or what were you saying earlier in terms of like the hierarchy of what you feel comfortable calling your?
Well, you were talking about generational names. Like
generational.
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of goes generationally. Like in my opinion, it's all opinion based. In my opinion, the most respectable one that you'll get the least amount of pushback is indigenous, and then below that is Native American, and then below that is Indian. And my grandparents, like, they went by Indian because our treaties, they all say Indian. That's the thing, is like, we can't stop referring to ourselves as Indians, as American Indians, until we're able to fix and like make a re-addendum or whatever it's called. Because the minute I say, no, I'm not an American Indian, that's it. Then if you're not an American Indian, then
it's in the fine print. God damn it.
We have an actual department of the United States government called the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Yeah.
There is an actual department of the U.S. government whose whole job it is just to monitor indigenous people.
Yeah, they're the ones that give us our tribal IDs. And you know who oversees them is the same entity that oversees Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah,
which are bullshit.
Which are the people
that
who
raises all kinds of questions.
Yeah, they're the ones.
So mad.
They're the ones who tag coyotes and wolves and deer and fish and say like, oh yeah, we got too many fish, we got too many elk over here. Go get rid of them.
We got too many Indians over here.
And they track us just like they're tracked.
You know, it's funny. I'm checking their website. Their website looks pretty current now, but I remember 20 years ago, I looked at their website and it looked like it was like an early 90s. Like they just had this little cheap thing. Like, damn, do they have a budget?
Nope.
But you know what's funny is that we're talking about like how you know, whether or not somebody should say it or not. Like for example, me, I do a lot of research into Mesoamerican history, looking into the cultures, civilizations that are gone. Now the people are still around. The languages are here, the people are here, a lot of the beliefs are here, but the actual civilizations have been destroyed, right? But no matter how much I research that, no matter how much I say that is technically part of my ancestry, I'm not going to call myself a person of color. I'm way too white for that. You know, it's so, but yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. And you know, I have a lot of
tastes like.
Shit, say what?
You still know what a good salsa tastes like? Like shit.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah,
you know how to fill some holes.
Hey, apparently so.
Yeah. We know how to fill them holes. No,
give yourself some credit, man.
Some credit, Mr. Kevin Garcia. But you know, moving a little bit along because I like this is just fascinating and I love it, and it kind of makes sense when I listen to your music, man. Like for example, I'm gonna bring up because we're gonna play a little bit of the music so that people can listen to it on the show. But Don't Give a Fuck is like my fucking go-to. Right, for you guys.
ID. I don't give a fuck. It's what is it?
No, don't give a fuck. DGAF. So, like, can you talk about that first man when you come on the mic and just spout out all those things? It's just for someone that's a fan because I don't play instruments. I'm a fan of music, and I can listen to the lyrics and the composition and everything you're spouting off. How it hits me, man, to the fact that like, you know. That you're like you said you felt you've been ignored. Everybody's being killed. You know, there's no one watching over you as we talk about the hospitals, you talk about marches, all these things, and like don't give a fuck. And there's that rage that came behind it. I can appreciate that, man, because Latinos have felt that shit too. You know, and like whenever we've talked about how we need to support each other in the Latino community, right? The Latinx community. I'm a big believer in like we need to support on all sides, right? From all walks, right? Because we are, like you said yourself, if we got the African American community, the Latinx community, the Indian community, all of us joining up, like you said, man, this would be a whole fucking different conversation, right? In the US, especially, right? Worldwide, who knows? But talk about Don't Give a Fuck, man, because we're gonna play that here for the listeners, but talk about it.
For the record, I'm the only guy here that doesn't cuss on the show. Because I am a teacher and a public speaker, but it's a good song. I just can't say the name of it.
We'll say it for you more than enough.
Yeah, we affectionately call it DGAF, so you can say that.
DGAF. There you go.
Yeah, so that we can say it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
you can say DGAF.
There you go. Yeah, so that song, I mean, it's almost stream of consciousness a little bit. It was just like. It's just a lot of things that I'm frustrated about as an Indian person, and I think it's something that people don't know that we feel. Like you have an entire genre for somebody to, like we all know, we have heard through music the Black experience in America via hip hop, NWA. Public Enemy, like those are the
rock and roll, like you know, like
blues.
Yeah, but hip hop I feel like was really just in your face about it. Was really like Ice Cube saying like this is what we're reporting, what we see. Like
it wasn't just in your face, but it was getting carried by like mainstream outlets. Like it was getting the word was getting out there.
Yeah, and so for Indians, like we don't have that. Like we don't have there. We're like 1% of the population in our own country. So we don't have a lot of ears tilted at us. We don't have a lot of opportunity to speak freely. And like Indian people, we don't get a second chance. We barely get a first chance. So I can't go on like I in a job or something. I can't just speak my mind the way other people can. I can't just say what it is that I want to say. I have to figure out how to navigate what it is that I'm trying to say, or I have to find a way to navigate if it's even important to say, if it's worth putting my job at risk, putting my life at risk, things like that. I can't look police officers in the eye because they don't like they don't like our eyes. Our eyes freak them out because who knows why, but we're not allowed to look police officers in the eye, and we're not allowed to do a lot of things that people don't know we're not allowed to do. Like, so that's kind of where that song came from. And being Indian isn't always just like, it's not always the worst thing. I love being Indian. Like I would never want to be something else. I love who I am. I love what I was built to be, but I'm also not going to be quiet about some of the shit parts, you know, like I'm not gonna hold my tongue because it's gonna make other people uncomfortable. So basically I just wanted to say what was on my mind, and there's a lot of, all of that is true. All the things that I'm talking about are absolutely true, and it's solely my experience. It's not the experience of all Indians. I know that there's parts in there where I say we, like I think in the bridge it breaks down. Those are multiple experiences, but talking about the feeling of like I say, 300 million people waiting for me to lose my grip on the control that I've salvaged so they can lock me in the cages and the pages of history books and label me a savage. That's how I feel. I don't get to, if you talk shit to me or you're deliberately doing something wrong to me, I don't get to just snap the way a lot of other people in this country do, because then immediately they're like, I knew it. I knew this fucking Indian was gonna, I knew he was a savage. I knew it. They all are. They're all like this. You know what I mean? So we have to like, we have to like really, really, really control our tempers, or not even our tempers. We don't get to act. We don't have the freedom to act the way that other people do. So we have to be, some of us are more mindful of it, because when you grow up in a community, like I grew up in the city, I'm usually the first Indian people have met, and that's not true, but I'm the first one that they recognize as being a Native American. So I represent all Native Americans to them, whether I accept it or not, whether I like it or not. That's just human behavior.
I mean, that's very common, because I myself, I've traveled for work a lot throughout the Midwest, and then my dad was a trucker, so we would go all throughout the 48. And I do remember always, not that anybody was imposing it on me, but I did feel like I need to behave well in front of white people, so that they see that, you know, other people like me are not, you know, some good for nothing whatevers, you know. So, and that was me when I was young. I don't do that anymore, I think, but I kind of get what you're saying in terms of like having to feel like you're representing something, so that the next person that might be my color and might not have papers doesn't get looked upon as like, you know what, let me open your door, lady. Let me, you know, like, let me say hi to the ossifer and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's the other thing too about that song. The point of it was like, you guys as Latinx people, do you identify at all with that song? Do you hear anything in there that you can identify with?
Yeah.
Dude, and
with, it was the same, like it was meant for that. It was meant for all communities who can hear it, but specifically your community, the Black community, and my community. Because when I listened to hip hop as a kid, I would hear them talk about things that I could, I knew what they were talking about. I felt it, because I'm not Black, no, but I'm Indian, and we're pretty similar. So they would talk about certain things that they were witnessing or experiencing, and I'm like, yeah, I know that experience. So I was trying to give it back. I was trying to like, the people who get it, the people who understand it, the people who can find themselves in that song, that's who this song is for. It's for you. It's for whoever hears it, and they're like, yeah, that's us. You know what I mean?
Primos, we're going to listen to the song. We'll catch you back after the song break. Stay tuned.
I'm likely to die in the street for being me, but don't nobody give a fuck. Murder our sons and our daughters and walk free, but don't nobody give a fuck. How come we never make the news on TV? Cause don't nobody give a fuck. Your financial why you don't give a fuck. Don't act like you don't give a fuck. 300 million people waiting for me to lose my grip on the control that I salvage, so they can lock me in the cages and the pages of history book and label me a savage. Perpetuating stereotypes on the line in a society that's trying to erase me, while simultaneously forcing me to forget the past. Cause it's never changing. I'm the walking relic with the fucking target on my back. I wonder if I'll ever have the chance. The thought of opportunities that everybody else has. After they stole all the land, I'm broke as fuck. I'm tired of way too stressed out. I can't let you see it now. Cause you call me weak for fucking feeling with drunk. Anything you can think of to keep me from rising above it.
Primos were back. That was DGAF. Don't give a fuck. For those that can say it, not Mr. Garcia there. But definitely awesome song. I said that's like my go-to. And we will remain, of course. We'll maybe talk about that in a minute because I love the video. I love that fucking video, man. So good. But I wanted to ask Elia, what was a song that you enjoyed that maybe you have the writer right here, the performer right here in front of you, like to just talk about it. What was a song that really hit you the right way?
No, it's the same one, DGAF, man. I think I played it on loop so many times and I added it to my rage playlist. Like I said, like the song itself gave me so many chills, and like there were things. It's like you said, there are things that we can relate to on that level, as just Latina people as well, It's just like, God damn, this is happening. This is still happening today, and we still have to scream about it, and of course, like indigenous people, they're screaming so loud. Why are we not screaming with them, as loud as we could be? No, I just like I felt the song like in my veins. It was really great. I am curious, 1876, what is the significance of this number?
100 years later.
It's the Battle of Little Bighorn. It's when the Northern Cheyenne, the Oglala, the Blackfeet, but like I said, a bunch of Lakotas, Arapahoes all came together and fought the 7th Cavalry to defend their life and their way of land, their land and their way of life, to defend it, and they succeeded. They succeeded in defeating the military, and then it was an act of unity, an act of common ground and common goals, and an act of support. We all supported each other. Some of the chiefs, you can't say their names, but the chiefs had their visions on my land, and they came to us for help, and we said yeah, and we won.
Hell yeah.
So it's 1876 it's less about the killing and defeat of the cavalry, and the killing of Custer, and more about the reminder that we as Indian people, and we as people from this earth, made from the ground, whose stories say you come from this ground, not ground over that way. This ground, that we got to stick together, and we got to support each other, and be there for each other, and we will succeed if we do that.
Wow. No, man, for sure. I want to talk about the album cover, because all your Pow Wow Punk Rock, right? 1, 2, and 3, they're all women. And the last one that I love has a woman wearing earrings that say chingona on them. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, that's literally telling the Latinx community, like, we're fucking united here. Can you talk about the albums and who the women are?
Yeah, the first EP is my mom. So, of course, like my mom gave me a voice. She's Blackfeet. And if anybody out there hearing this is Blackfeet, and if you don't know anything about Blackfeet people, if a Blackfeet mother, you're Blackfeet. Blackfeet mothers only raise Blackfeet children. Even though my dad is Cheyenne and I'm enrolled Cheyenne, my mom instilled the resilience, the specific resilience that Blackfeet people have in me. She gave me my voice. She breathed air into me and taught me how to use my voice. So because of that, I just wanted to honor my mom the only way that I could. And then the second one is my cousin Nina. She comes from the Cheyenne side. She's Cheyenne and Crow. But she gave me all of these people, all of these women on my EPs. They've all given me gifts that I cannot return, things that I can't give back. And so I'm just trying to show them my appreciation and honor them the best way that I know how. But Nina gave me a gift that will always, it's connected me to something in a way that nobody can take from me. And I just wanted to show my appreciation for Nina, because what she gave me, the gift that she gave me, is huge. And then the third one is my wife. She's Mexican. She comes from Manzanillo. And
cool.
she gave me the computer to be able to record all this. She's supported me. She sat there with me when all my laptops crashed. She's consoled.
Yeah,
she's been there with me through all the hard times.
She consoled you.
That's true.
Yeah. So she's been there, and her family's been really supportive of me. We got our stickers are running around Colima and Manzanillo. So so I just want to show my appreciation for her, because I literally could not do any of this without them. I have these, I call it my council. They're like my council.
Yeah, man.
I talk to them, and I got one more cousin, Essay. Those 4 women I talk to constantly, because my brain, I have the brain that I have, and my experience of what my traditions have taught me are women think beyond what I can think myself. So these are women that I trust. These are women that I know who have my best interest in mind. And so I go to them for advice quite a bit, because I have the brain that I have, and sometimes fists are easier.
Yeah, it's easier to get into a fucking fist fight than figure shit out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they don't want that from me.
no, because they love you, right? They love us. And
right.
I'm curious, man. Punk, right? I'm gonna say a term that most people that are involved in music hate to hear, is the word "the scene," right? Yeah. And so, like, punk music, though, right? It has different shapes, different forms, because not just because you guys dress a certain way or play a certain rhythm or a certain speed makes you punk. It's a message and it's an attitude, right? Yeah. I've watched plenty of punk bands that use nothing but synthesizers, and I fucking love it. And I was it always punk for you? Was it always this genre, or was it the rap you talked about earlier? That did you dabble in that at all, or is it just went towards this route?
I've never been a rapper. I don't feel like I love hip hop. I love hip hop so much. Like they're the 3 musics that I listened to growing up was Pow Wow music, punk rock, and hip hop. So of course they're gonna bleed their way through. But the thing that I loved about punk rock was the aggression. They're just like the aggression and the unity at shows. Like when you're in the pit, they say like if you go down in the pit, you pick them up. So
yeah.
One of the safest places is a mosh pit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Everybody's there. And there's actually, for me, there was actually a similarity between punk rock and traditional music and powwow music, which is that, like, so I grew up sweating and going to ceremonies and all that stuff, Cheyenne way. And I was, my schedule was like, I had school, and then I would sweat on Sundays and Fridays, and then I had band practice on Wednesday, and then I would go to shows Friday and Saturday. So what that ends up looking like is I'm in a sweat singing these songs with my people. I'm literally shoulder to shoulder with my people singing these songs. We're all singing the same song, and we're all here for the same reason. And then I immediately go to a show, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with my people, with punk rockers, singing the same song, looking at the dudes on stage who are singing it back to us, and we're singing it to them, and we're all here for the same reason. And in the sweat, if you go down, we're there to take care of you. In the pit, if you go down, we're there to take care of you. So they just started like seeming like the same thing. And then like with hip hop, the thing that I loved about hip hop was what punk rock was missing for me. I couldn't identify with these white guys either complaining about their girlfriends or complaining because it's like such aggressive music, and you're like, really, you're this angry about a girl? Like, go
and
talk
and
to
living
her,
in the
dude.
suburbs.
Yeah, or they're complaining about a system that was tailor made for them, that they failed at. So they're saying how this system failed them. This system was made for you, by you, handwritten by your people.
You fucked up.
And you're complaining to me, an Indian. You want to tell me that this is unfair. So then hip hop was the part that was missing for me in punk rock, because hip hop and punk rock, they both come from truth, both of them. And they come from the same area of the United States, and they made their way over here. But originally, coming out of Brooklyn, punk rock and hip hop both came from Brooklyn, and they both started about speaking truth. So
Ramones,
yeah, so I would hear punk rock, I'd be like, well, that's their truth, but I don't identify with that. And I would hear the frustration and the like irritation and feeling like you're not seen in hip hop. And I'd be like, I get that. I understand that. You know what I mean? So I really I love music in general, but those three musics, like those are the things that I really identified with.
No, man, for sure.
But I've never been a rapper. It's not my thing. I don't feel like it's. I just don't feel like.
No, but like you said, I mean, let me ask you this question, man. I don't know another, and this is just me kind of. I know you, maybe another band through my streams that could pop up, but I don't know any other Indian, punk or hardcore or anything like that. It just doesn't, like you said, it just didn't exist. Yeah. And we talk about representation here, right? Everything from like comic books, movies. We have people here. Elia, she writes her comics. So does Kevin, myself, and we always talk about seeing ourselves, seeing our community in the work that we do, man. So what you're doing is kind of like it's trailblazing in a way, if you think about it, and it's just kind of, no pun intended, beating the drum of like, hey, we're fucking here. We've always been here, right? You say yourself in your lyrics, and but I just really dig the energy, and I wanted to ask that because punk is an energy, like you said, it's an aggression. It's a way to get out there and just put your message to where you gotta hear it, because you're gonna hear it because I'm nice and loud. And me and Chikume years ago when we started this show, we said that same example. We said, hey, life's a mosh pit, but there's room for everybody. You know, like you can hustle, you can bruise each other around, but you're always gonna be able to move and pick each other up. Yep. Especially in the Latino community, because there's always that everything from colorism to, are you brown? Are you Mexican enough? You don't speak Spanish. You're a no sabo kid. You're this. Like, there's always that fight. And so what you're doing, man, bringing, and I've seen you play with like a lot of the like. Am I wrong? Did you play with Inspector, or did I imagine that? Because I think they're a Spanish ska band, and I think I saw you guys on a bill with them.
I don't think so. We played with Ocho Calacas, just like.
Oh, they play with Inspector. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Ocho Calacas, Inspector. Because I used to watch back in South Central and on Tweety, they used to do a lot of shows, a lot of hardcore shows, Spanish ska shows, like Viernes 13, would play there a lot. And we would grow up with that music. And so we would love to see, oh, look. Yeah, fuck it. Sublime was the biggest thing in the world at one point. And we're like, oh, shit, like, he speaks Spanish. Maybe there's something there, But then you start seeing your people, brown people, do backyard shows. I never saw until I saw a band, they did hardcore. And hardcore is different than punk. It's a different movement, different energy. I had a band that I was in love with that nobody knows about. They died off, what have you. They were called PK2. And in Spanish, they're called Pecados, right? And it was a dope band. And I never saw somebody like me walk on stage, go like, hey, we're going to sing some songs. And then I don't know, they go nuts. Oh my gosh, yes. And it's like, yes. This is the fucking energy that I want. So, I love that you're doing that for your community. And I want to say an extension, our community, to bring us in. Kevin, what about you, man? What other song maybe you want to bring up? Or?
So the song that turned me on to your stuff was Tribes and Tribulations. I just
turned me on.
You heard me. I just dug the vibe. I liked the sound. I immediately added it to my playlist, like I said, so the students are going to hear it on repeat at some point. But one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is one thing I find interesting is we keep talking about the parallels between like Latine and the indigenous populations. I was talking, to the guys before the show that I'm old enough that I remember a lot of Mexicans coming to the U.S., Mexican Americans saying like, no, I'm Spaniard. I'm 100% Spaniard. And if you claimed that they were indigenous at all, they would be offended no matter what they look like. They could be, like really dark skinned or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're like, no, I'm 100% Spaniard. And now I'm seeing more and more young people, generations coming up, Latine people that are like, no, I am indigenous too. I am what's they call it? Reconnecting. The reconnecting indigenous. And so more and more people are like offended by that colonial past. And they're like, look, it wasn't a choice. They came over here. And I just it's interesting to me seeing that now and being able to see the parallels. Like it feels good to have those parallels there because it allows people to see it. But also I appreciate that more people are trying to reconnect with that past, even if it's distant,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely experienced that, like with Mexico specifically. Like I remember as a kid, like Mexicans and Indians, they didn't get along at all. And I don't know, I was too young to know why that was. So I can only speculate looking backwards, but I just remember like I went to a mostly Black and Mexican school. So like the Mexicans didn't like me that much, but I saw a lot in their culture that was similar to mine. And then I saw a lot in Black culture that was similar to mine. The one culture that I never really, I could see myself in was white culture, because they're just so different than us. But Mexicans are the ones that I always like, they were so similar to Indians, but it's because we're similar people. But back in those days, like, I don't know, they just didn't get along. And like I said, I can probably figure it out looking backwards why. But today, what's really cool is at our powwows and stuff, like we see Mexica dancers and like doing a danza or whatever it's called, and that kind of stuff. But when I go to Mexico, it's different, man. Like, it's
changing though. It's changing. There's like a growing movement in Mexico of more and more people that are like reconnecting with that past.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, Mexico has done some really, really cool things to keep the culture alive, as far as like the Aztec culture anyway, because Aztecas were pretty.
Well, they were the dominant.
I mean, it's happening right. Like one of our previous guests that he wrote Tatarambo, right, and he kind of
Henry
bringing everything together and overlapping and kind of exposing ourselves to
Henry Barajas, his grandfather rather fought to get their nation recognized by the U.S. government. I think the Yaqui in New Mexico. So he was part of that group that was fighting for that in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's just an increasing awareness that I think is helping everybody. It's helping bring attention to indigenous populations, and it's helping Latine populations learn more about where they come from. So
exactly, yeah. What's cool is like going to Mexico and finding people down there who still practice their indigenous culture and their indigenous.
There's a lot of areas in Mexico that still do.
Yeah, and they'll come
language
to me.
Too.
Yeah, they'll come to me and they'll be like, they call me Indio because that's like just what they say down there.
Yeah,
but they'll ask me, are you Indio? And I'll be like, yeah, from up there. And they're like, well, duh. And but then they'll like show me, they'll hand me some medicines or things like that, and they're so like, some of what they do down there is so similar to us. It's so cool to just see.
Does it feel home like home away from home? Does it feel comfortable? And not like a stranger in a strange land, It's like, is there a connection that makes you comfortable there?
I mean, in Mexico specifically, my connection is my in-laws and my family down there. Like I love them all so much. Like they take care of me when I'm there. So how could I not feel that, but to see indigenous people practicing their ways down there, it's cool to recognize for me, but coming where I come from, I'm like, all right, well, what kind of stuff are you putting on me? Like, you know what I mean? I treat it like the same way that I treat other tribes. If I go to other tribes and they start putting smoke on me, I'm like, come on, man.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just cautious. I respect it, but I get cautious because I'm like, okay, well, what's happening here? And especially when it's like a language I don't understand well enough. Yeah. But for the most part, I mean, it's really cool to see. It's exciting to see for me. I do feel a sense of like, you get me, because I'm a traditionalist. I grew up traditional. So when I see a traditionalist anywhere in the world, but specifically in Mexico, I'm just like, yeah, we understand each other. Like
because even within our community, like when Dia de los Muertos comes around, that's when it's cool, right? Like that's when it's all colorful and trendy, and you go to the supermarket and there's like a cacerola with the Dia de los Muertos. You know, oh, cool. So,
but those kinds of things, man, that's what's cool. That's what I think is really dope about Mexico. It's different from America. Is like clearly we went different routes, but Mexico has been able to keep their old traditions alive, the Azteca ones anyway, by things like the flag has the serpent god on it, and has the story of why. Like, you just look at the Mexican flag and you can tell the story of why that, like, how Mexico came to be in Mexico City.
Kevin Garcia wrote a book about that.
Kevin Garcia wrote something about that.
Something comic book, but yeah, exactly, and that's what makes it interesting. Is that, like you said, they went different routes. In the U.S., it was extermination, and in Mexico, it was assimilation. Yeah. But regardless,
or subjugation,
and regardless, the indigenous people held out and stayed behind.
Either way, we're both here.
Exactly.
Hey, we're here, man.
By the way, I love that you do this through music. I was going to ask you, what do you think? Do you know the band Redbone from the 60s and 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan, and of course they got a big resurgence because of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was a big thing for them too. Was talking about indigenous stuff back then, you know.
Yeah.
So I just it would be cool to see that kind of a push in popularity from Native music today, right?
Yeah. What's cool about today's age compared to those days is, like, we're independent, and I'm able to get on podcasts like this, and all my media has been independent. I've done all of it basically myself. Mm-hmm. So back in those days, it was like Redbone and Exit. They were what a black producer thought white people would want,
basically.
You know what I mean? So you like, they weren't necessarily in control of their own image or their own. They definitely marched like they were AIM dudes, but they were. I don't know how to explain it without sounding.
They were pop.
They were pop, and they were also like dressed up to more than.
I mean, it's like Bob Marley. He had to give up something to then kind of get popular here, right? In the US.
A lot of it has to do with the decade you're in, because it's like
that's what I was gonna say. It was that way for everybody.
Yeah, that's true. 100%. Yeah.
So this day and age, I can say what I want. Nobody is controlling what I say. Nobody. There's no bank above me who's like, well, you can't say that because we have this whatever they're called. Like, I don't even know the word. That's how independent we are.
This fucking plan or this model or some shit, right?
Yeah. Playing the
investor.
Game.
That's what it was. That's the word. We have like this investor.
Shareholders.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys care if I take this off? I don't want to show off.
You don't want to show off?
For those of you listening only to the audio, he is showing off his guns.
My white arms.
Look at those arms.
They're so white.
Nah, man, relax, man. It's all good.
It's 90 degrees here in Portland. I'm in a brick building and I have no AC, so I'm just dying.
Get comfier.
Get comfier, man. Get comfortable. I mean, Kevin Garcia never wears pants, so we don't know.
Oh, man, I was gonna do that too.
There you go, dude. See, it's the way to do it. You're at home, shit. Your place. I would be amiss. I want to talk about "We Will Remain" because I fucking love the song and I love the video that kind of took it over the top. It's like it's a Terminator spoof, and I fucking love it. Like, did you come up with that idea? How did that come about?
It was actually this guy named Tyler Trotman. He's become a friend, but he just reached out, and it was his idea. And he was like, he reached out on IG, and he's like, "Hey, I have this idea. I don't know if you guys would be cool with it." And so he sent me the treatment, and I was reading over it, and I sent it to my cousin and my wife and my mom, and they gave it their thumbs up. So I was like, okay, I'll bring it to the band and see what they think. And the band was all about it. So it was Tyler's idea.
I mean, for those that haven't watched, we're gonna play it here as well, for they can watch it here at the end. But for those that don't know, what's the pitch that you got? Like, what was the pitch that got you hooked for that song?
Tyler, he said he had an idea called Terminative, and it was like a Terminator coming back in different forms of people that we have fought against or oppressors or anything like that, coming to finish off the natives from the future because they've taken back control in the future. So his idea was that, and that we were like the catalyst of that, I guess. And it was supposed to be like a B movie, like it was supposed to look shitty and like
hey man, it's really well done, man. Like
it looks like you had a low budget but used it perfectly.
We had zero budget. It was all Tyler. Tyler donated that to it.
So
donated it to
Tyler was the creator.
Much like right
Tyler
here.
Tyler the creator. There you go. No, I mean, I dig that, man. I mean, I'm really happy that we got to chat, and I just want to, usually at the end here we kind of bring up things that we've kind of been into recently, be it music, be it film, be it what have you. We kind of roll on the table, but I really want the Primos out there listening to just go look for 1876 on all the socials. Go give Gabe a follow. Mr. Steal Your Girl Some Horses. I love your social media presence, man. It's a blast. It's always fun when I see your videos. Kevin mentioned earlier, there's a lot of we even privately we get a lot of like pushback from like TikTok and Instagram, and always like shadow bans and all this bullshit. What has been your experience with like the how things have changed and how important that social media has become? I mean, what have you run into, if anything? I'm assuming there has been, right?
Yeah, there's definitely been some run-ins. I haven't had some of the big ones that usually happens to Indian creators yet, but we've definitely been shadow banned. We've been regular banned back in the day. We get a lot of
regular.
Yeah. We were getting a lot of hate for a while, like the online. I mean, that's kind of what the internet is. Just people
you're doing something right or getting hate. Shit.
Yeah, but the overall punk community online was not into us, and they're just like all the worst things that you could say about an Indian person. That's what they were saying to us, and it wasn't just white people. It was. It hasn't. Wow. The hate hasn't just come from white people. It's also come from most of the other dominant.
Every group will do that.
Yeah, but that's kind of subsided until probably now. Now that I said it out loud, it's gonna.
Nah, man. Look, because the community is growing. Our goal is to grow the community, right? And like you said, like just join, man. Have these conversations. These are not. I'm done with being afraid of talking about shit. Like, como sin pelos en la lengua, right? Like, let's just fucking have these conversations. We're all primos. That's the conversation we're having. We're all related and we're all connected. We're all cousins. Like, let's talk about this. If you can't talk with your cousins about it, how the fuck are you gonna get anything done with anybody else, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to ask about the community, because I want people to go follow 1876. Definitely. Before we get into our stuff this week, but definitely Primos, give him a shout, go talk to him. He's really responsive as you can tell. But yeah, man, definitely. Before we get into our recommendations, what have you, do you have any shows coming up, anything that people could look out for? That way we can put that out there. We'll of course share it, because by the time this airs, it would be the 24th. So anything after the 24th in Oregon, or if you're ever gonna make it outside of Oregon, that'd be fun too, man.
Yeah. We got a show coming up here in Portland at the Twilight. It's the Punk and Drublic after party. It's with Cheshi and a special guest. We're not allowed to say who they are, but
it's 1876.
It's a big one now. Well, we're there, but we're not special. We're just regular.
Yeah, you are.
And then
you're special.
We're special. Yes, I'll take it.
There you go.
And then July 5th, we're gonna be in Denver for Punk Rock Saves Lives, and July 6th, we are gonna be in Cincinnati. Very tired, but ready. We're gonna play Yeah,
Pretty
we're gonna
far
play.
east.
I know.
Yeah.
We're playing the Northside Rock and Roll Carnival there, and then we have a Canadian tour coming up. Yeah, we're busy.
Heck yeah.
That's good, man. That's good, man. Definitely stay tuned to the socials for that. But you know, since we're talking, Gabe, what's a band or something that you've just kind of been into that maybe we should know about that you can recommend for the primos out there as well? Of course, 1876, but somebody that needs some attention that you see, like, man, these guys are great. Check it out, or something that will hit a nerve here. You know, you never know.
Yeah, there's a band that we play with here in Portland. We just played with them, but they're a Latin ska core band. They're called Los Malhablados. So probably check them out if you like Latin ska core. They're really good. Los Ocupados, we just played with them as well. The lead singer is from El Salvador.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
Maybe we could try to get the show, man. You know, get some more Salvadorians on here. Yeah,
I bet. Yeah. And then if you're in Portland and you hear this, or you're in the Portland area, Madre Teresa, she's El Salvadorian, and she makes not gluten-free, vegan tamales and papusas, and they're so good, dude. So follow her and get some.
Damn, sounds like the Salvi diaspora is spreading pretty far.
See, my brother's up there in Seattle, and he is always looking for some Latin American food. He's always having a hard time finding it. So send them up his way.
He's too far north.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys ever go to Canada?
No, I have family in Canada apparently, but I've never been.
I went once.
There's a big
for like
Salvadorian pocket up there in Canada apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently.
I tried to get a burrito there when we were there last year. It was disgusting.
You want disgusting? Find Mexican food in the Midwest. Oh my God.
Man.
Now there is. I have actually that's a lie. I found one place that had really good Mexican food in Iowa, but literally the name of the place was Hecho in Iowa, and I was like, okay, they understand, they got it. But like the rest of it is all like Taco John's. It's horrible.
Yeah. Taco John's is it's a delicacy on my res. So I'm not
by the way, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to have their super size version, but they would call it Mexi size. Do you want to Mexi size your order? I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna Mexi size my Mexi rolls.
Mexi size. Well, I'm gonna start it off, guys. This week, it's kind of crazy. My wife started watching this outside of the boys, because the boys came back, and I know Chikume is all about the boys. I'm gonna do that, but
catch up on that.
But I've been watching with my wife, kind of get sucked in. I think Kevin, you mentioned it. What is it, like 911?
Oh God,
Rescue 911 or whatever.
Yeah, my partner's been watching that. So
dude, that fucking show is
no, not Reno 911. It's just called 911.
Angela Bassett is in it, right?
Oh,
Angela Bassett is in it.
Yep.
If you don't know, the Queen in Black Panther. Dude, this show is out of control. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, the last episode, a guy put a microwave on his head, but it was filled with concrete. And so it was a YouTube stunt, and and he somehow fell into a pool at the same time. And they had to rescue him before he suffocated. Like, there's like the most dumbest shit that I was like, well, how the fuck is this real? Yeah, but these are super firemen and super police and super ambulance people that like scale buildings and top people off ledges.
Is that the one, or is it a different
spinoff?
Yeah, Lone Star is a spinoff. Yeah, and I think there's a debate on whether or not it's going to come back for another season, which I don't know about because my partner watches all these shows.
It's good. Like, I'm no lie. One time I'm like in another room, and then I hear, "Oh shit!" and it's like, "What happened?" I was like, "The guy, he blew up," and it's like, what are you talking about? Like people just explode on this show. There's like a compressor hose went up a guy's butt in an episode. So there's a lot that happens on this show that I hadn't. It's a lot of holes.
You say you're an EMT?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Come across stories
do you guys run into crazy shit like that? Do you get a guy's head out of concrete and talk people off ledges and shit?
No, I'm not a super EMT.
Jump. Jump.
I got two more guys to go pick up.
Right. I want to go home, man. I've seen some pretty gnarly stuff, but it's mostly like for my region, it's like, what's the worst thing you smelled? It's more likely that we remember what we smell. You can for whatever.
What's the worst thing you smell? You brought it up. Fuck it. What's the worst thing you smelled?
Brains is pretty bad. Like what's it called?
Where bad brains come from?
Yeah.
Right?
A GI bleed. You can smell a GI bleed from like the street or
damn.
Yeah. What's the other one? UTIs. A lot of UTIs.
Dang.
Those are gnarly, dude. That's it.
Oh,
You smell it like in the back of your throat. You're like, ugh.
Oh God.
You're doing God's work, man. But
For real.
You're doing it.
Your gloves are this long, probably.
Like I work in surveillance. I just have to look at it from afar. I don't have to smell it. I don't gotta. Like we're good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's what I've been watching this week. It's fun. It's crazy. It's if you want some outlandish shit, because I always think to myself, okay, this 90% of this is fake. But maybe some fucking guy tried putting his head in a microwave with concrete in it. Like maybe there was some.
It's all based on like real headlines, but they like pump it up to 11. You know,
oh my God!
Fun is it's fun. It's garbage fun TV. So there you go, Primo. That's what I've been into this week. How about Chikume? How about you, man? What have you been up to besides running around with your kiddos and all that?
Well, the kids and baby mama, they're out in California, so I've been just catching up on sleep. So silence. And I ended up watching like Baki and Ashara. What's it called? That other one I was telling you, Stanley, about
the anime, right?
Oh, the anime.
Yeah, Baki,
yeah,
anime.
my friend keeps telling me to watch that one. I'm like, it just sounds horrible.
It is so. Talk about like they're always like culturally speaking.
They're
always talking about women. They're always talking about women and with daddy issues. Like this is like men with daddy issues. Like
yes, that's
very
exactly
homoerotic and just bodies and like.
Well, the way my friend explained it to me, it's not homoerotic. They're so straight that it becomes gay.
yeah, that's exactly like it's so
like JoJo.
The way they describe it is like you turn your body hard for a split second before impact, turning your body into steel, and I'm like, what? So
yeah, JoJo.
I've been watching. I'm like, you know what? This is like Van Damme, the anime. Like it's just 80s karate fucking muscle, and it's like, you know what? But I can't stop watching it, man. It's just so fun. It's just ridiculously. It's so bad. It's good. It's like one of those Chuck Norris movies. Like it's so bad. Or what's it called? That other guy that goes like this and uses their own jujitsu.
Oh, what's his name? Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal, there you go. So that type of stuff. It's like very reminiscent of what 80s movies was. So I watched that, and then I watched Cyberpunk 2077, which was pretty cool because I liked it because blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden the mom said "mijo." And I'm, oh shit! Look at this! All of a sudden I'm being seen. Mijo, what's up? Like we're cool now. Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077. I was like, oh, look, Latinos all of a sudden we're like, we get a mijo here.
So, as long as we get a mijo in there.
Look at us all mutts and stuff. The mutts are kind of mixing in, and so.
At least Elia, what about you though? Anything that you've been kind of fixated over, or watching, or reading, or gaming, or anything?
This week's been a big work week for me coloring wise, so I've done a lot of like music listening and then reading comics when I go to bed. Music wise, I'm really like, I found this like city pop playlist that I liked, and an artist on there has really caught my attention, and apparently is what more well known of that. It's Ginger Root. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of Ginger Root.
No.
He does a song Loretta, that one. But he has this really cool like chill city pop, which is like Asian techno and pop mixed together with a vintage vibe, and he just has a really cool way of just orchestrating it all into one story, and like his music videos are all telling the story of how he like got rejected from the music scene like in Japan, made his own music studio, is making his own. It's really cool. It's like self-made and really fun. So I've been listening to a lot of his stuff.
I'm listening to this right now and I'm loving it. Is this current or is this 70s? Because it looks 70s.
This is current.
Wow. He is
totally. Oh, I know this. I know this. I'm listening to it now. I know this.
Yeah, I've heard this like before. You've heard it. Yeah, you've heard it probably, but no, I've really enjoyed it, and listening to the playlists that have been popping up recommended from his work. So that's been a lot of my listening while coloring this week. But my wind downs, I've been reading more webtoons. I finished a couple. Yeah, I finished, caught up with a couple. Zara is one of them, Zara. It's a little stressful to read. It's a romance, but it centers around the main character, Zara, who goes to this prestigious university on a scholarship, and she ends up becoming a business partner with a popular rich guy, and she just has like so many encounters of like the rich kid sabotaging her, and that's the part that like annoys me. I'm like, just get to the romance. I'm tired of these kids bullying. I'm tired of these rich kids.
What's the stressful part about it? And why are you reading it?
It's still building up. It's still building up right now. I think it's just the cheeseman part of it that I like. And then the second one is High Class Homos, which I'm really glad I found that one. It's a story centered around a prince and princess. Both of them are homosexuals, but they made a pact to get married so no one would bother them. And they're secretly talking to their partners, behind castle doors, and a bunch of other drama comes with it. High class homos. Okay. It's super cute. The art is amazing. Name,
but you could,
Yeah, the name is a little cheesy, but the story is intense and the art is
I've read some great
adorable
webtoons that have some stuff like that, so it works.
Yeah,
but like I said, I can make some suggestions for you.
Please, I know anyone who has webtoon suggestions. That's like my wind down after a day of work, and it's been inspiring me lately. So drop them anytime.
Definitely, Kevin. How about you, man? Rounding us out.
Well, I've been very busy with a bunch of stuff lately, but in terms of new stuff this past week, I saw Megan Thee Stallion in concert.
What?
Yeah, that was.
Oh my god!
You're her audience.
I would never. You're right.
No,
I'm like,
I am the audience by proxy. I am the.
You're the chauffeur for the audience.
But no, actually, no. I'm glad you said that, Chico, because like so much of the audience was black, so much of the audience was female, so much of the audience was LGBT. As somebody put it to me, like it's Megan created a safe space for them to just do whatever they want and have fun, and you could really feel it. But also, I've seen
a documentary of her getting shot or something like that.
Yeah, well, I don't know about documentary, but she did get shot. Yeah, and they had
I kind of looked into some of that happening to her, and it's like, hey,
yeah, but like I said, the thing is that the show itself was really good. Like I've been to like 20, 30 live shows. I'm not Gabe, I'm sorry, I'm not a big live music guy. Like if I can hear it on my phone, I'm fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But I've been to like 20, 30 because I'm always the date, but this is probably the most well done live show I've ever seen.
It was a subtle brag. I'm always the date. I just get tons of dates all the time. Never had a problem. So
right.
Well, okay, I wouldn't go that far.
So you're on the Megan Thee Stallion side of the beef with Nicki Minaj, right?
Yes, definitely. Nicki Minaj has some. I see. Again, this is stuff I wouldn't have known until recently, but now I know.
You're in the lore now.
Out of my bubble.
Yeah, my partner keeps me up to date on all this stuff. So yes, we're on the Megan Thee Stallion side. Okay, the other thing that I'm really into right now is Nintendo just had their announcement this week, and Nintendo does announcements like every 6 months or so, or every year. And for the last several years, they've had one big announcement or whatever. That everybody knows this is going to be like the last year of the Switch at their current system. And my God, they had so many big announcements this week, and it's really blowing people away. The biggest one for me is they're finally going to be a Legend of Zelda game where you get to play as Zelda. And I'm very hyped for that. I've been watching. What was really great for me is going on and watching like women and girls reacting to that news, and just like they're just in tears. It's so great.
Veronique was on the show. She said finally. No, it said finally we're getting Zelda of Legend, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's fucking smart.
Yeah, people are saying that they should call it the Legend of Link. Zelda.
The Legend of Link.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
Oh man, that was so exciting. Also, Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Yes, Hello Kitty.
Letters from South Park.
I'm actually excited about the new Mario and Luigi game, which is not. I'm not usually a big Mario guy, and of course the Metroid game, which they announced I think 7 years ago, is finally coming out.
Fucking love Metroid. I'm playing Metroid. I'm playing Metroid Fusion right now on my Switch just for I love those games. I love Prime. I love all that stuff. So I'm excited. Yeah. Fun times. So Primos, I want to, of course, thank you, Gabe, for being on the show tonight, man. I hope we had a blast. You're welcome anytime, man. Anytime you want to have a conversation about anything, come through. We're here for that. Primos, go follow Mr. Steal Your Girl Some Horses at 1876 Band. Check them out. Check out their shows. And, of course, Gabe, always welcome. From Chicume, Kevin Garcia, Miss Elia Maria Madrid, I'm going to say, Primos, remember, no matter where you're from, we're all primos. Adios.
Yeah, and there's horses. There's horses here in Texas too, man. So you should come down here, like.
Man, speaking of Meg Thee Stallion, like,
there you go.
I saw her on a horse, and that was it for me. I was like,
yeah. I don't blame you, man. I'm right there with you.
Oh my God! I mean, even my wife was like, "All right, you get a pass.
You get a pass." Yeah. My Primos podcast is produced by Chicume. This week's episode was hosted by yours truly, Primos Freddy, Elia Maria Madrid. Check her out at Spice Illustration. Kevin Garcia. Check his work out at KevinGarcia_com. Want to thank, of course, Gabe from 1876. Check them out at 1876 Band for all their upcoming events, shows, just a damn good time. And of course, Primos want to thank everybody out there listening. Thank you for everything. Cuídense. And check out the show at My Primos Podcast and myprimospodcast.com. Hasta la próxima. Adiós.